bacteria and other pathogens out of your body. Once there's a break in that system, now it's an opening or a pathway into your body. So we really want to do our best to help prevent any of those cracks or breaks taking place in our sinuses, in addition to any other skin in our bodies, such as our hands. But so what we're going to do is, again, the sinus wash, which has many benefits, not only hydrating our sinuses to help keep them moisturized, but it has the added benefit of actually physically rinsing through and washing out anything that you might have inhaled in the last several hours. So we have those fine hairs within our nose, and when we breathe, we're out maybe in the grocery store. If somebody else has expressed any germs, bacteria, or even if you're out in the garden or your yard, trees, and any sort of allergen that might affect you can become trapped in those cilia in the nasal hair fibers. So what happens is that either that gets trapped in there, and then it either later gets sucked into the body or it is removed back out of the body. When we do neti, that actually helps us to physically rinse those invaders back out of the body so that they don't have the chance of further invading our system and making a new home here. So a couple of things that you're going to need in order to do neti is some kosher salt or saline solution. With the kosher salt, we can make our own saline solution. And an option would be Alkalol, which is a great way to improve your outcomes, and some way to actually wash that water through, some sort of item that we can use to put the water in, make our solution, and rinse it through. A neti pot itself is ideal. It's N-E-T-I, and you can find that, of course, on Amazon, your health food store, and a lot of even CVS's and other Walgreens and other drugstores will carry these now as well. And when you buy your first neti pot, there's a good chance it's going to come with some sort of saline, or you'll see sitting on the shelf with that, or you'll be offered a saline solution to buy. You're welcome to do so, and then you can heat that saline solution to your body temperature, or again, save yourself some money and just mix it up at home. So I like to cover a lot in my videos and be very detailed on the information I give you. So I want to just step back for a moment and review. You may have heard some of the negative things about neti. There's really not a whole lot that can go wrong. Some people get fearful about pain, but also you may have heard of people getting a brain parasite. So once in a while that comes up. It was in the news. I think it's something that happened in the South. From my understanding, this happened for somebody living like in the mountains, very remote, and with a well. So if your water is clean city water, you're comfortable with it, you're confident with it, then go ahead and use that. If you have any concerns around well water, anything that, again, you might have any sort of pathogens, bacteria, viruses, parasites, anything in your water you might be concerned about, please distill the water before you proceed with the neti process, or buy some distilled water. Now then you'll want to heat that water on your stovetop to a body temperature. So we're going to work with our water at about 98.6 degrees. You can have a little range on there. We don't have to check it with a thermometer every time, but I like to just check it like you would the milk out of a baby bottle, putting it on your wrist to make sure it doesn't feel hot or cold. That's the best place to know if there's going to be any variance that's going to negatively affect your body. If the water is too cold, it can further congest your sinuses, which of course we're doing this to reduce congestion, so that would not be beneficial. It can, if you're using too hot of water, you could of course burn yourself. So don't burn yourself with that too hot of water. So I tend to use tap water because living here in the northwestern suburbs of Chicago, I am not at all concerned about our water quality. I've been using it to do my nasal rinse for many years, never had an issue, so I'm going to continue using my tap water. So when I go to do neti in the morning, I'm going to get out my Alkalol, my neti pot, and run the tap water. So I start running that to a warm temperature and just get it heated up, and again check it with my wrist. I'll stick my wrist under, make sure it's comfortable. So when that water is at a comfortable temperature, or again you've heated on the stove or bought it, heated on the stove to distill it yourself and cooled it to the correct temperature, or you bought distilled water, added it to a pot to heat it to the correct temperature, however you get there, we want some body temperature, approximately 98.6 degree water. So probably somewhere between 96 and 100 degrees, somewhere in there would be good. Let me take a moment now to just go over the different ingredients. So again, I mentioned the options of saline, kosher, salt, or alkalol. So again, you can buy that saline solution, but the reason you're buying saline solution is basically just to save you one simple step. And that saline solution, anytime it's called saline, it means it's slightly salty. They're making it like your body's fluids. So if you have concerns that when you're dumping the water through, it's going to hurt, like maybe you've jumped into a pool or a lake and you've had that cold water forced up your nose and it really hurts and you're like, I don't want to experience it, it's not fun, then don't worry about it. We do not have to be concerned about that because again, we are making this water just like your body's water. Our bodies are naturally at least 70% water, at least they should be if you're hydrated enough. Make sure you're hydrating. But so our bodies are comfortable with water. When we're in utero, we're floating in water. We are very comfortable being in water and having water fill us. However, it has to be the right water. What we don't want is we don't want to have any water in our bodies that might be full of chemicals, be cold, or anything else like that that might invade our sinuses. So again, if you jump into a pool, that water is cold and it's loaded with chemicals to help keep that pool water clean. So that is not safe to have in our sinuses, and that's why it hurts. Same thing with a lake or any other sort of water you might swim in. Typically it's not heated or clean and just made saline like your body's water. So again, we're going to make this saline. Now again, you could buy that saline solution or use kosher salt. So saline solution is just water with salt, but for our nasal rinse, now some of your other shot kriyas or inward actions from yoga to cleanse the internal body can use table salt. But again, this one we want to be really careful because it's going through the sinuses. It is our most sensitive place to run anything through. So we want to make sure we're using pure kosher salt because kosher salt is going to be your only absolutely pure form of salt. Now you might be thinking, well, I have sea salt. Sea salt would be great for this. But actually, sea salt can have sand and other impurities from the ocean in it. So we don't want to run the sea salt through our nose or table salt. Table salt actually has added sugar to help it taste better and be more palatable. So we don't want to add table salt or sea salt to our neti pot. Just kosher salt to make your saline solution, or you have the option of using Alkalol. If using the kosher salt, you're going to use anywhere between 1/8 to 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So here's my 1/4 teaspoon. I usually use a little bit less than that, closer to 1/8, but 1/8 to 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So if I'm going this route, I would have my salt ready, put that into the pot, my water's running, and when the water's warm, I would then add the water to the pot, stir it a little bit, and go ahead with my rinse. My other option, so again, you have saline that you buy in warm, making your own saline, or this is my favorite way to go now. So I've been doing neti for nearly 20 years, and about 8 years ago or so I was introduced to Alkalol, and I haven't turned back. I love this stuff. It's amazing. So Alkalol is saline water, so it is salted water. It's already made saline for you, but with the addition of numerous essential oils. I couldn't even tell you exactly how many, but I mean there's everything from eucalyptol, thymol, camphor, all sorts of things that are going to increase the odds of killing any bacteria or viruses, but also in the sinuses acts like a mucus solvent. So it's really cool how it helps to break down. If you're feeling really congested, it's really been in there a long time, it's stuck and not moving, or maybe you're not getting the success you'd like with just the salt. This is available again on Amazon. A lot of CVS's, health food stores will sell this. So Alkalol is Alkalol. And if I'm using this now, since it has all those essential oils and many of them are very cooling, I will use my water just slightly warmer when I do this. So instead of it being like that range of starting at 96, I'm going to be closer to like 99 to 100 degrees, knowing that this is going to cool that water slightly. So if I'm using this, know that this is safe to use pure and straight. Now the only problem with that again is if it's cold, so you want some way to warm it, and it is quite strong. I have never used it straight. I can't imagine using it straight because in my little neti pot that you see that I have here, I actually will typically only put about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch layer in there depending on how congested I'm feeling, and then add the warm water on top of it again, stir it and use it. And with that, once I get that all cleared out, it feels like your head has opened up, like a big cavern that was blocked has opened up. I would say it feels like the heavens have opened and angels are in there singing with all that spacious, it's amazing. So Try the Alkalol again if you feel like you need a little bit more. The way I usually use the Alkalol is I'll again mix that up with the process I previously described. Use about half the pot, half, a little bit on one side, a little bit on the other side. Go and get dressed or do something else. Come back a few minutes later before the water's cooled, and then rinse again. And because that alcohol's had a few minutes in there to break down all that congestion, when I come back and rinse the second time, much more is coming out and I'm a lot more successful. So that's just another recommendation on using that alcohol. Now let's get to the neti pot itself. You don't have to have an official neti pot. Of course, this one is beautiful. It was handmade, stamped with the Lotus Yoga Center stamp, established 1972. It's actually where I got my massage certification and training. Thank you. But it is also ceramic and a little more fragile. A lot of them that they sell now are plastic. There can be a little bit different shape, but what you're really looking for is this spout. Something that we can see in this spout, nice and small, so that shape there fits well into the nasal passage while filling it, blocking it, and therefore helping the water to move through to the other side. Now, if you don't have an official neti pot, that's okay. You can still practice today. For many years, I actually used a souvenir teapot that was sent to me by my sister-in-law from Korea. Thank you, Kelly. And that worked just fine. In fact, I thought it was just as good until I got a neti pot and realized it actually was a little bit better and easier. But it was okay. It still worked. So any form of teapot really could work. A little bit smaller than, a full size might be easier. Or even just a simple paper cup where you can just fold the tip of the cup into a little bit of a point and use that as a spout to pour in. So now that you've figured out how you're going to do your neti, you've got your pot, you've got some form of saline solution either you purchased or you made with salt or alcohol, and you've warmed it to body temperature. Let's go ahead and practice how we're actually going to do the neti. Now, before you just dive in, a couple of things. We want to make sure we're comfortable and relaxed. So if you've been really apprehensive, really nervous, or just concerned about doing this and how it might feel, you might want to do a little yoga, take a warm shower. That can really help to start the process, just warming those sinuses, helping to open and just relaxing your body. Because the more relaxed you are, the easier it's going to go. If you tense up, you can actually stop the water from flowing through. If it's not flowing through the first time or even the second, third, fourth time, it doesn't matter. Even if it's going in and back out, it's still benefiting you by moisturizing those sinus passages and still bringing whatever it gets in the liquid, the water, the saline, back out of your sinuses. So it's okay if it comes back out the same way. But let's go ahead and start. So once you've got your solution all ready, we're going to hold that neti pot, and I always recommend beginning with a few breaths in and out through the mouth to practice that you are breathing just through the mouth, because in addition to having saline to keep us comfortable, the other thing to keep us comfortable is not breathing it in. We don't want the water to get into our lungs or down our windpipe. All we want it to do is go through the sinuses. So if you only breathe through the mouth, we don't have to worry about going through the sinuses. So go ahead and take a few deep breaths in and out. You can hear how my voice has changed because I'm closing off my sinuses. You can even try talking like that, like you no longer have a nose. Just in and out through the mouth. When you feel ready, you're going to just tilt your head slightly. Now I'm using a garbage can here as my receptacle. But typically you do this over your bathroom sink, and we don't want to tip the head down. We don't want to look up. Just a slight angle to the side away from where you're bringing the neti pot. So if I'm bringing it to my right nostril at a slight tip to my left, I just lean forward, but you should be able to still look straight forward at yourself in the mirror as you do it. If you're looking down toward the sink, it might get uncomfortable. So again, just keep your gaze forward. Bring the pot to the upper nostril, breathing only through the mouth, and lift the pot, tipping the water into the sinus, and you'll see how it ran through and out the left side. So again, if you talk during this, you are going to sound a little weird, as again, you're trying not to breathe through your sinuses. So we pour through. When we finish that pour, blow out. Grab a tissue. Oh, there's my tissue. Blow with the tissue. Get out any extra excess that might be in there. And then we switch sides. We always want to do both sides. Doesn't really matter too much which side you start on. I mean, in yoga, they do like to get more detail, doing one side in particular morning or night. But don't worry about that. Don't overthink it. It's not going to hurt you to do one side as opposed to another. I say just start with whatever side feels right. Wherever you want to start will be the right side to start. And then we'll move to the other side. Again, breathing through the mouth only, not the nose.
pouring in the left, out the right. I don't know if you can see that, you can certainly hear it pouring through. And again, blow and blow. And to finish, even a brief forward bend, because the sinuses are full of all sorts of pockets. It's not just straight up and then down to your windpipe. It's actually in, and we've got sinus pockets up behind our eyes, around our cheekbones, and any one of those can get a little bit of water trapped in there. What you don't want is to go to work, maybe lean over your coworker's desk and have some water pour out. So once you finish, again, you may want to take a little bit of a bow, make sure you've gotten all the water out, blow as often as necessary. And if you're using the Alkalol, you may notice for a little while you're getting a little bit more production, and that's okay because you're actually not producing more. It's just that it's able to come out from all those areas where it may have been sitting for a while. So that is everything that you need to know in order to do neti. But it's important to know too that neti is just only one of the 6 shat kriyas. So the shat kriyas are the 6 inward actions in yoga. So yoga is not focused only on having a yoga butt and going to class and doing some cool moves and working the physical body, but it's actually about keeping the entire body healthy and strong. The whole focus of yoga is actually to allow our bodies to be quiet while we sit in meditation. So that's why we stretch and strengthen, so we can sit with our legs folded, our sinuses not complaining, our digestion not complaining, and the sinuses, digestion, eyes, things like that is where those 6 inward actions take place. So please, if you have enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel and go ahead and view the other videos in this same playlist where I'm going to be adding videos regularly over the next week or so covering all 6 of the shat kriyas. So you can practice all 6 at home and again reduce your risk of getting sick, improve your overall health and your daily functioning.